Biographical evidence against naturalistic mega-evolution. Biography does not support naturalistic mega-evolution. A critical examination. Naturalistic mega-evolution, the idea that all life on Earth has evolved from a common ancestor through purely natural processes over millions of years, is a central tenet of evolutionary biology. This theory claims that the diversity of life, from the simplest bacteria to complex organisms like humans, can be explained by mechanisms such as mutation, natural selection, genetic drift, and gene flow. However, when examining the evidence through a biographical lens, looking at the historical development of the idea of evolution and the key figures who shaped it, significant challenges to the concept of naturalistic mega-evolution become apparent. 1. The origin of the idea, from Darwin to neo-Darwinism. The core ideas of evolution, random variations, survival of the fittest, natural selection, predated Darwin. The theory of evolution by natural selection was summarized by Charles Darwin in his work On the Origin of Species, 1859. Darwin's ideas were influenced by earlier thinkers such as Thomas Malthus, who wrote about population pressures, and Charles Lyell, whose uniformitarian view of geology suggested that small changes over long periods could have significant effects. Darwin's concept of evolution was incomplete. He proposed natural selection, as previous writers had, as the mechanism driving evolution, but was unable to explain the source of variation within populations. The discovery of Mendelian genetics in the early 20th century provided a missing piece, leading to the development of the modern synthesis, or neo-Darwinism, which combined genetics with Darwinian selection. Biographical challenge. 1. Many of the key figures in the development of evolutionary theory, including Darwin himself, struggled with the lack of direct evidence for gradual, large-scale evolutionary change, mega-evolution. Darwin famously referred to the fossil record's gaps as the most obvious and gravest objection which can be urged against my theory. Such gaps in the fossil record have become systemically worse over the last 150 years or so. Higher taxa appear suddenly in the fossil record, without gradualistic precursors. 2. Even with the advent of genetics, figures like Thomas Hunt Morgan, who conducted early genetic research, expressed doubts about whether mutation and selection alone could account for the complexity of life. These historical concerns highlight that the theory has always had significant unanswered questions, particularly regarding the feasibility of mega-evolution through purely naturalistic means. 2. The fossil record, missing links and sudden appearances. One of the major challenges to naturalistic mega-evolution is the fossil record. Darwin and subsequent evolutionary biologists have acknowledged that if mega-evolution were true, we would expect to find numerous transitional fossils, forms that show intermediate stages between major groups of organisms. However, such transitional forms are very rare. Biographical insight. 1. The paleontologist Jay Gould, a prominent evolutionary biologist, noted that the fossil record tends to show long periods of stability, stasis, punctuated by sudden appearances of new forms, a pattern he called punctuated equilibrium. This contrasts sharply with the gradualism expected from naturalistic mega-evolution. 2. Gould's observations led to the idea that evolutionary changes occur in rapid bursts, which he and Niles Eldredge proposed as an explanation for the lack of transitional fossils. However, this model does not easily fit within the framework of gradual naturalistic mega-evolution, and instead suggests that some other unknown factor plays a significant role. The evidence indicates that intelligent design is that factor. 3. The complexity of life. Irreducible complexity and the origin of information. The complexity of biological systems poses another significant challenge to naturalistic mega-evolution. Structures such as the bacterial flagellum or the eye exhibit what biochemist Michael Behe has termed irreducible complexity. These are systems composed of multiple interdependent parts, all of which must be present simultaneously for the system to function. Biographical insight. 1. Biologists and biochemists, including Behe, have shown that such complex systems cannot be explained by gradual, step-by-step evolutionary processes because the intermediate stages would not be functional or advantageous. 1. This shows that naturalistic mechanisms like mutation and natural selection are not sufficient to account for the complexity observed in life. 2. Additionally, figures like Francis Crick, who co-discovered the structure of DNA, have pointed out the enormous challenge of explaining the origin of the genetic information necessary for life through naturalistic processes. 2. Crick famously remarked that the origin of life seems almost a miracle. So many are the conditions which would have had to have been satisfied to get it going. Genetic limits, the problem of information loss. Another challenge to naturalistic mega-evolution is the problem of genetic information loss. Over time, mutations lead to the degradation of genetic information rather than its increase. While a few very rare mutations might possibly be beneficial, the vast majority are neutral or harmful, leading to a gradual accumulation of genetic errors. Biographical insight. 1. Geneticist John Sanford has shown that this accumulation of deleterious mutations, known as genetic entropy, or genetic load in the scientific literature, undermines the idea that life could evolve upward in complexity over millions of years. 1. Instead, he had shown that genetic systems are degrading over time, which is inconsistent with the naturalistic mega-evolution model. 2. Sanford's work highlights a key problem with the assumption that mutations and natural selection can drive the emergence of new, more complex forms of life. 2. The biographical trajectory of genetic research shows that the accumulation of harmful mutations is a significant issue that has not been solved within the framework of mega-evolution. 5. The persistence of alternative theories. Throughout the history of evolutionary biology, alternative theories have persisted, challenging the naturalistic mega-evolution model. These include the concept of intelligent design, which posits that life's complexity is best explained by the action of a purposeful intelligence rather than unguided natural processes. Biographical insight. 1. Figures such as Alfred Russel Wallace, who independently conceived the theory of natural selection, later in life rejected the idea that natural selection alone could account for the origin of human consciousness, suggesting instead that a higher intelligence is involved. 2. More recently, proponents of intelligent design, including scientists like Michael Behe and mathematician and philosopher William Dembski, have shown that certain features of the natural world are best explained by an intelligent cause rather than naturalistic processes. 3. More than 1,000 scientists have expressed skepticism about the claimed powers of Darwinian mechanisms to create the entire biosphere. And in recent years, 1/3 of biologists have grown skeptical of Darwinism and neo-Darwinism as being sufficient to create the entire biosphere. These ongoing discussions highlight the fact that significant portions of the scientific community remain unconvinced by the adequacy of naturalistic mega-evolution to explain the full complexity of life. Conclusion: while naturalistic mega-evolution remains a dominant theory in biology, a biographical examination of the key figures and developments in evolutionary theory reveals that significant challenges have persisted throughout its history. From the gaps in the fossil record to the complexity of biological systems and the limitations of genetic mechanisms, these challenges show that naturalistic mega-evolution is not sufficient to fully explain the diversity and complexity of life on Earth. As scientific inquiry continues, alternative theories, including intelligent design, remain important areas of exploration and debate, keeping the discussion about the origins and development of life vibrant and ongoing. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, and comment below if you agree or would like to add your thoughts.